today we're here with Gary Turner. And Gary, thank you for coming.
Thanks for asking me. I'm very happy to be here, man.
It's a great privilege. I've known you for how long? When did we meet?
Oh my goodness, 20 plus years ago, I believe. I'd always seen you around, but I never was formally introduced to you until Todd and Christy got married and stuff. So that's been several years now.
And then they moved on.
They did. I do plan on going to visit them here in the near future.
Oh, it's beautiful out there. They have green stuff.
Green.
And
real trees.
And real trees and lakes and hogs, dogs, and frogs.
Oh my gosh, really? Okay,
anyway, one of the things that our mission is in the podcast is to talk about how people contribute to society, to West Texas, the friendliness and things of that nature. But however, what a lot of people don't know is when I get them in here into the guest chair, they go, well, I don't contribute. And it's one of those things where everybody does, but they don't realize it.
Right.
And when I visit with you, and over the years that I've known you, there's a lot of things that you do behind the scenes and that you have done behind the scenes. And that's what I'd like to explore today.
Certainly.
Okay.
You bet.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your life.
I'm from Coleman County, so I was raised in a place called Boss, B-O-S-S, V as in Victor.
All right.
Okay. And it's most people would know it if I mentioned the lake that's by there, so O-H-I.
Oh, okay.
So our family moved down there in the early 1900s, so we've been out there ever since. And so I have two brothers, Sam and Daryl. And Sam works for Gulfstream, and then Daryl was a Border Patrol agent. Now he works for Pletsy. He's a weapons instructor at the academy in Artesia. And but recently, Dad passed away in 2022. So I've been adding ranching to the agenda again, and but I've been in the oil field since probably 1982. For the most part, other than about 6.5 years where I did a cowboy stint for Wooler Livestock in San Angelo. Remember Producers Livestock, don't you?
I do.
Okay, did you ever have to work out there?
No.
My roommates made me change clothes outside before I'd go in after working cows all day. So, but I worked up there. We made bovine vaccines. So I got to do a bunch of laboratory microbiology work, and then also a bunch of cowboy. And then came out here in 88. So I've been out here since then. I guess the money beckoned.
Right.
I was going to be a millionaire. I'm still here, and I'm not a millionaire.
And that's why we moved to the Midland as well, is get into the middle of the oil field and the money, per se. I've missed the money, but...
Well, I've squandered what was there, it's
as we all,
if we could ever ride the high and lows like this bad EKG, the boom bust cycle, we'd be golden, but we never.
So you haven't been in politics?
No. My dad was. He was a state representative for several years. Don't hate him, but he was a Democrat. Okay. But he was very conservative. It was back during the days and stuff like that, right at the end of who was George W. Bush. Okay. So he was around there. It was back when they would still talk across the aisles and stuff. And he was very conservative. And that was one of the funny things. I went to a memorial they did in Brown. And, Brown was very conservative.
Okay? Yes, it is.
And they would come up and they introduced him as Bob. And they said, now, he was a Democrat, but he was on our side. So I'm going well, I don't know if that makes me feel good or not. I don't know what's going on here.
Right.
But no, never dabbled in politics. Overseas, we would dabble in it when I was on the military. But that was kind of ugly politics then.
Right.
In the different countries.
So what countries were you in?
I've been to Germany, of course, back when the Soviet threat was still there, So we went to Reforgers, Crested Eagle exercises. Then I went to Guantanamo Bay around 92 when all the Haitians, let's say Papa Doc, wasn't around anymore, but Cedric had overthrown the local leadership, and so all of them were leaving. So we were catching the Haitian boat. And then I got called up again in 90, I believe it was around 94, 95. And that was when all the Cubans, the second generation, not the Mariana boat lift, but I mean like the second generation.
Right.
And I can't remember exactly the name of what they called it, but the Cubans, it was like the first time it was boats, and then Castro had unloaded all the prisoners. This time it was mostly boats and inner tubes. So, of course, a lost lot to sharks and what have you. I mean, that's a very treacherous. Well, for both of them, the Haitians and the Cubans. I mean, like somebody to want freedom that much, and they have all their belongings in a trash bag, but they want to try their chance at the American way,
right?
So that was both of those were very, very interesting. I did get involved in politics. Let me take that back. So on the Cuban deal on the second time around, each camp had approximately 2,500 to 3,000 people. Okay. So there were these guys from the field artillery out of Oklahoma were down there, and they were performing the inner security perimeter, stuff like that, make sure everybody was good to go and behaving. And you had 2,500 to 3,000 voices that would come and complain. So I visited with the captain. I says, listen, I got an idea. And he says, okay, what is it? I says, let me find some old parliamentary procedure books from the FFA, and I'll get in touch with Dad, because, he was still in politics. And I got hold of Dad and told him what was going on. He says, I think I can help. I think I can even find some parliamentary procedures in Spanish. So he sent them down. We sent the whole thing. And so we basically taught the commies democracy. So it was really interesting. It was a lot of fun. And it was a big struggle, to make them understand,
right.
It's the majority of the voice, not one, you know. But the elections went good. I mean, it was sort of funny. We had ballot boxes, the whole 9 yards. Gotten with the psychological warfare guys, and so we did radio spots, and so they would actually, have interviews with the candidates, and it was fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun. But when it came to voting, that very day they opened up so they could actually go down to the beach right over there at Colorado Airport. And so naturally, our voting turnout was only about 25%, which I already told them they're already on their way to being Americans, but it was really good. Then in '96, went to Bosnia. Okay, we were. It was right after. I don't remember if you remember that Thanksgiving or Christmas before. The engineers had set up on the Croatian side, and they had built the flotation bridges.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they didn't realize that snow melt, rain, and they were in the low ground. Engineers. Okay.
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 I won't say.
No, I won't either. But anyway, they were in the low ground and they flooded, and so they washed the bridge away, washed all their camps. So we went over there shortly thereafter and landed in Tuzla. And like I say, it was February and it was cold. Matter of fact, I think they said it was the coldest it's been since around 44, 45, Battle of the Bulge area and stuff. So that was a great tour. And then went to Kosovo. It was mainly on a leadership tour type thing, basically, because we were trying to prep our guys that were about to come over. And so that was it was a good tour. I'm glad I got to go on that. It was really fast. I went over there with the 101st Airborne on that. And then the last tour duty was Afghanistan in 2003. And then 2004 we came back. And it was an amazing tour. We're riding around in Toyota Hiluxes. There was no up armor. Iraq had kicked off at the same time, so there wasn't any major support that you would have had. So ammunition shortages. Like I say, the Toyota Hiluxes that we had were high mileage. That is one tough. I'm here to take. So we tried everything to help try to prevent IEDs and stuff. So sandbags in the floorboard type thing. After a while, we're going no, this ain't working. So basically, by the time you had all your gear on, I'd written up a procedure, and it was based basically off B-17 flying fortress. Basically trying to figure out your fields of fire and everything, and your safest areas. And one of the funny things was it was discovered that if we ever were ambushed and they blocked us, the best thing to do was open the door and fall out. And then, find you a good, cover and concealment at that point in time. But it was an amazing tour duty. I mean, like it was just like wild, wild. And I really, if you're going to end your career on that was great. All of them were hairy,
Right.
very hairy, very hairy. And very fortunate didn't lose anybody on that tour. One of our teams up in the north, around that fresh country, we had two that were wounded in action. They had hit an IED, Ray and David. So they both got Purple Hearts on that one. But in '05, after when they went back, that's when we had a bunch of losses. And it was just sad. It chokes me up.
It chokes me up.
Yeah. So, but that was about it. I retired as soon as I got back home. I wanted to be left alone.
I
Yeah.
don't blame you.
Yeah.
So you did have some PTSD?
I think I still do.
You did?
I think so. I mean, like it's one of those things where you don't really want to say it, but I really do. I mean, like certain things will bring me back. I live south of the interstate off of 349, and I think my house at that point is probably one of the highest points. So when the wind blows out of the north and it hits the screens, it reminds me of the canvas slapping,
Okay.
and that'll take me back. And there's smells that'll take me back too. Just like I mean, like to this day, I have really issues trying to watch, like a good war movie. I mean,
Right.
like Saving Private Ryan. Holy crap! that was before we even went over there.
Right.
And now I'm going, oh, that opening scene.
I know.
No. Yeah. So, but my brother Daryl, he was in the military. He was an MD, and he was over there during the Somali stuff that was going on.
Okay.
So he got his combat patch before I did. I was quite jealous.
Well, the one thing that I remember vividly
Mm-hmm.
is back in '04, November 7th,
Yes.
we got the doorbell ring ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you talking about coming out of nowhere,
Yeah.
not expecting it or anything else, and the torturous experience that is, and it's indescribable. To this day it is. But one thing I do appreciate is you were here and you stepped in and you stepped up, and we had no idea what we needed to do when we needed to do it. And then I was impressed by the local, which would be in San Angelo or here, the local support where they lined up for the funeral and everything else, lined up at Loop 250 all the way to the deal. But that's one thing that's indelibly placed in my mind. Is that a good word?
I was going to bring my dictionary just to pull the big one on me. So, but yeah, that works, I guess.
Okay,
Sure,
all right.
sure.
We'll say that it
Etched. Yeah, definitely.
There we go. Anyway, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on into the podcast, because any man that does service for his country, I hear some that even to this day they'll say, I go, "Oh, you were in the military?" And they go, "Yeah, I was stationed in California."
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't anything to be proud of.
Oh, no.
I'm going bull corn.
Yeah.
Anybody that serves our country
any capacity,
in any capacity, I feel that we owe a big debt of gratitude. I appreciate your service.
Well, thank you very much. That was a very hard day, week. It was very hard.
And so we owe you a bunch for that. Now that you're into the oil field, which sometimes can be like combat.
That's what I always used to tell everybody. I mean, like, it's all the stress minus the bullets,
Right. And so you deal primarily with treating water, or is it all types of different chemicals?
All types of different chemicals. So fracturing, stimulation, cementing, it's sort of like when everybody asks me what I do and stuff, I says basically we're the oil field distribution hub, one of many out here. But it's kind of like you're rolling Walmart, except we deliver to location.
Walmart doesn't.
No. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like it's been, when I first got into it, it was an environmental. Well, I was working on floors on a rig in Central, South, Sonora, Ozona, Winters, Texas and stuff, shallow stuff, 4,000-ish, And that was back in the day when it was only vertical,
Right.
And remember? And then you had to shoot the little, what was that thing called? Remember? The little coin deal, and they wanted to make sure that you were dead center and not, veering off of it.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember the Railroad Commission made you have to do that,
I did it 1,000 times.
I did too. I can't think of the name.
But I'll remember. I'm old, so
yeah. But I always enjoyed working on it. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. But, and you're all weather, they don't matter.
Right.
I think one of the last times I was on the rig, we were king wet stream. Okay.
Always.
And so the bucket basically wasn't working, the mud buckets, that you slide around there. All the seals had dry rotted. And it had to be this was near Novice, Texas. So between Coleman and Abilene out there in Illinois. And it was about 20 degrees. Okay. And so you always got about 4 or 5 pairs on the heater of gloves, so you at least feel your fingers. And at first, I had my slicker on. At first it felt warm, that. But once the icicles started forming off of the slicker, I'm going like, this sucks. There's got to be a better way to make a living. So lo and behold, I went to Angelo State after that, shortly thereafter.
All right.
And went there for 6.5 years and finally made softball. So
okay,
go Rams.
So you didn't make the dean's list?
I did. Unfortunately, the dean at that time, was roommates with my uncle when they went to Tarleton.
Okay.
Yes. So that didn't bode well. Yeah. But fortunately, I was paying for it myself. Mom and Dad wasn't. So, just like other than, I was like, oh, God, let's just go ahead and tell them. I kind of like beer better than studying.
Goodness, I never.
Oh, man. Yes. Heaven. Yes.
No. So when we did start running around together, we had a pretty large gang of us.
We did.
And we would go to the play that they have downtown. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I totally went blank. Oh, my gosh, what is it called? I can't remember. I went totally blank now.
But it was one of the best festivities we ever had where we threw popcorn at everybody.
Yep.
And for 2 or 3 weeks afterwards.
Summer Mummer.
That's it. And we would be pulling popcorn out of different places for weeks.
Right.
But it was a hoot.
It was. And that butter was so good for your complexion. Like I didn't have to use lotion for quite some time on my dry arms. So
So have you got any kids?
I have a daughter that I claim is mine. She's basically she's that perfect redheaded stepchild.
Okay.
And God, there was a lot of Irish in her, I think, because she was quite the hellion. But I love her to death. So she's married now. They married to a veterinarian over near Giddings.
Okay.
Dime Box.
I know where that is.
Yeah. And so I've got a 2.5-year-old grandbaby, Maylee, I love that little stinker.
Isn't it fun to spoil?
It is. I mean, it's just like, matter of fact, I need to go run and visit them. And then I need to get some huge toy that's going to take up, a bunch of room, or the little lawnmowers that pop and make so much noise, or a drum set. I know that they would love it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm being very facetious when I say that, but
well, the parents probably not so much.
Exactly.
It does tend to get on your nerves a little bit.
Yes, it does. It's there's only so much noise I believe I can handle anymore. It's got to be of my choosing nowadays.
Sensory overload. Oh, and I'm partially deaf.
I'm all the way there. Yes.
And I wear the hearing aids, but when I get around a lot of people, I like to accidentally put them back in.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd say everybody's on me about going to get hearing aids, and I'm going listen, I will. I'll probably go to the VA, do my physicals and all that. By then, they'll probably put me on about a 15 or something % decibel. They're going dude, you're broken deaf.
My wife accuses me of it all the time.
Everybody says it's selective hearing, but I'm going no. You get to that certain threshold, and that's it. I mean, you may as well start texting, because because I can't hear a word you're saying. I've gotten good at reading lips, though.
And I've gone to that a couple of times. But there's some people in West Texas that don't move their mouth.
No mumblers. Oh my gosh. Yeah, a friend of mine, he had hearing aids, and he just raved about it. And then about 2 months later, he's not wearing them. And I says, Joe, how come? He says, they were mumbling.
How long are you going to work before you get to retire?
Well, I would like to start. I'm working on the house now, trying to get it up to speed to sell. And then I would like to probably within the next couple of 3 years, just play it by ear and see what's happening out here in the market. And then, but I'd love to do some stuff, remotely from the house, and then because a bunch of it's an amazing world nowadays. I mean, like you can take care of pretty much everything you need to wherever you are.
Right.
Short of physical stuff. But that's the game plan because I can't describe boss enough. I mean, like you're in the middle. It's the breaks. It's what I always call it, the breaks. You're coming off the Chihuahuan Desert kind of on one side, off the San Angelo side. The other side, you're starting to hit the hill country, and then you're starting to hit, like north of Coleman, the sort of like the rolling plains.
Right.
And I can't remember Edwards Plateau, whatever plateaus they are, Atlanta, or whatever. But I mean, like, to me, I mean, like, this is just absolutely beautiful country. Very rough. Mesquite trees that are 100 plus years old. It's huge, huge. I mean, like, trunks about as big as, both of us together. Well, nowadays, back then, it might be a little skinny. But it's so quiet out there. And I never realized my ears rang as loud as they do until I'm out there. And it's just, there's nothing other than birds and the wind. And that's it. Other than the occasional somebody driving to go to the lake to go fishing. And it's just, it's peaceful. I find that I can do a bunch of writing, even a little poetry and stuff like that every now. Which I never did even realize I could do. It's just like, we always just chatted,
right.
And then, so that was always.
But you did write a book.
I have. I'm going through the last bit of editing right now. A good friend of mine that used to be the unit administrator at 321st Civil Affairs in San Antonio is taking the last look at it. And if my cousin would have been alive, he would have been the editor. But, because he was literature and English major. And Jeff always used to bitch at me. I mean, like, all the time he says, dude, okay, you either need to be in the future or the past tense. You can't switch back in the paragraph. And I'm going like,
you can't?
You can't? So that's immediately something that Rosie noticed. She's going like, okay, let me take a look. Because she remembered my writing as a first sergeant. Okay, when we do like all whatever, like orders or whatever, or evaluations. And she'd go like, here, let's do this. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Right. He be one happening dude isn't a very good deal, and exactly, like for, some type of compliment.
And you could say, I feel more like I do now than I did when I got here.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, we're back to the future and past.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll have that ready. I'd hope to have it around Thanksgiving. I'll probably do the KDP thing and do self-publishing because I don't know how to do this, so I'm just playing everything by ear, And if this works out good, I was thinking about doing one on the 36th Infantry Division from World War II because of all the Coleman and Brown County men that were in and around that area and stuff like that. So I think that would be they've done a lot of books, but I mean, like I want to do one from like a personal, and all of them are past, So you're going to have to dig in. I got to find the families and stuff, and then dig into the awards. I mean, like there's a buttload of heroes, I mean, like, and some that should have been recognized that never were. That's just the way the medal process works. Sometimes, and a bunch of times, depending on who your commander is, it's your job. Right. Yeah, but was it above and beyond? Well, hell yeah, it was. By God, give them something.
Absolutely.
It don't mean squat to them in the long run. They'd rather have a challenge coin versus ribbons because that's not ever what it's about. I mean, like, my God. And like, look, that was the greatest generation ever. Literally, bless their hearts. Yeah. The whole everybody, people at home.
Oh yeah.
Taking care of the home front. And people, in the industries. Building up the war machine. and to the warrior, and like you said, the cooks, the mechanics, people on the fly lines and stuff,
The generation.
Yes, yeah, yeah, totally amazing.
Well, I thank you for joining us today.
It's been a blast.
It has been a blast, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm working on honing my skills, but I don't do much honing. I don't know how to spell it yet, but I'm working on it.
I don't think there's a W in there. Is there? Oh, how?
No, I don't know for sure. But later on, we're going to have to get you back.
I'd love to.
And get a couple of people in here.
That would be
and swarm them in here. Maybe some people from the gang that we used
that would be a hoot. That'll have an R rating.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And but still, to this day, it cleaned my back a lot. Okay,
yes,
maybe not.
Yes. Let me scoot over.
So that you've had experience with bovine excrement.
Yes, I have.
So maybe it's
firsthand.
So maybe it's starting to flourish around here a little bit too. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
So very.
And thanks for y'all's support.
And come back and see you.
I'll do that. Thank you.